So, welcome back to session 2. I request all the delegates and participants to be here in the hall. We are now starting the session 2. Already we are late. I request Dr. Kunda Reddy Chova to chair this session. Seed system, transformation, function and stakeholders, national and international perspectives. Our panelists are Dr. K.S. Baraprasad. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Dr. Kuldeep Singh. Yes, sir. Dr. Kostanja Kanti. Yes. And we have 2 community farmers. They are available here. Rukmani and Laichan Shukya. So I request Dr. Kunda Reddy sir to start the session.
Did I see the presentation here?
Hello. Konda Reddy Chava has over 20 years experience in agriculture and rural development, designing and implementing a wide range of projects in multiple states across India, covering government of issues related to food and agriculture, rural livelihood, including natural resource governance. He played a vital role in conceptualizing and implementing innovative approaches such as field school on landscape governance, water management, and climate change. He contributed to the FAO's Farmer Field School Guidance document, Planning for Quality program. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Our panel members, me and my panel members have agreed that we will keep the time for 15 minutes and ensure that we will finish the session on time, okay? And I am here actually to set the tone for the more technical and more insightful discussions that my panel members will be providing. I'm presenting more a framework. So I start with initially talking about the global food systems and climate impacts, and then present an overarching framework for strengthening in terms of the seed system transformation. In terms of the global impacts, as we all know, and as also was shared in the inaugural session, few crops dominate the global food systems, and the market demand, particularly that market demand, technological advancements, and government policies, they significantly impact. And as a result, though there are over 50,000 edible plants, just 3 of them, that is rice, maize, and wheat, they provide 60% of the world's food energy intake, and 15 crop plants provide 90% of the world's food energy intake. Likewise, in terms of the impacts on food security, as we all know, limited crop diversity means it increases the risk of widespread food shortages if a single crop fails due to pests, disease, or climate shocks. This was in some ways witnessed in 2008, the global maize crisis, where there was an 89% surge in the price of maize, and as a result, there was widespread food insecurity and civil unrest in various countries. Also, the over-dependence on a few crops makes supply chains more fragile, especially in regions heavily impacted by climate variability. In terms of the nutritional implications, this also was briefly shared in the morning. Basically, that means that monocultures contribute to diets that are calorie-rich but often lack essential micronutrients. And there is this data where it says over 2 billion people suffer from micronutrient deficiencies, partly due to limited dietary diversity from a few staple crops, and there are also issues related to hidden hunger. Then in coming to the economic and environmental effects, the economic risks include that farmers dependent on a few crops face increased economic risk. Market fluctuations or crop failure can result in significant financial losses. Also, we are witnessing environmental degradation, which is quite visible in all parts of the country, particularly related to soil degradation, water scarcity or water quality, and loss of ecosystem services. Then coming to the global food demand, however, given the increasing population and also the increasing demand for more nutritious food, there is a need to increase, it could increase by around 70% by mid-century. And this, as I said, this surge encompasses not only the calorie needs, but also a demand for diverse nutrient-rich foods to improve the overall nutritional security. However, looking at the context of the climate change, as we know that that global warming is a reality, and extreme weather events, that is in terms of the frequency and the intensity of droughts, also floods and storms have increased by over 40% in the last 30 years. And also what we increasingly witness is changing of seasons, or unpredictable seasonal patterns are disrupting traditional planting and harvesting cycles and increasing the uncertainty for farmers. This is a no-brainer. All of you are aware that increased temperatures means that there would be a decrease in yields, and this is the data that is there. Likewise, one of the things that we really recognize, we really need to be mindful about, is that changes in, as a result of the increased temperatures, it would also alter crop phenology, particularly in terms of crop flowering and maturation periods, and this could not only impact yields, but also lower the nutritional quality by 5 to 10%. And there are also climate-induced disruptions which could lead to food supply chain volatility, and it is estimated by around 30% that there is this volatility that we are experiencing now. As I've said earlier, and I think this is also something that we need to be mindful, in terms of soil degradation, this is approximately 75 billion tons of fertile soil annually is removed because of the soil erosion. Likewise, over 40% of the global population faces water scarcity, and issues related to also water quality are a major challenge because of the erratic rainfall patterns, and as a result this affecting the irrigation for the crops. The other challenge that we need to be mindful about is the pollination services contributing to over 235 to over 500 billion annually to agriculture are declining by up to 30% in some of the regions due to climate change. Now coming to the enabling framework for seed system transformation, we at FAO look at 3 dimensions. One is in terms of how we can build capacities at the individual level, and also looking at the need for strengthening institutions and creating an enabling policy framework. First, I think it's important we all recognize that community seed systems empower farmers by giving them control over their seed supply, and also reducing the dependency on commercial seeds, and also fosters a sense of ownership. Likewise, it helps maintain agricultural biodiversity, which is critical for food security. And we also know that locally adapted seeds are more resilient to changing climatic conditions, pests, and diseases. Coming to, in terms of, we need to be focusing more on how we can strengthen local knowledge and farmer participation, particularly in terms of enhancing the technical, managerial, and decision-making skills of farmers, communities, and stakeholders. Here we need to be looking at in terms of how we can further address issues, particularly in terms of building capacities, not only through the informal channels, but also for us, I think it's important that we need to kind of, as a community, we need to be looking at how we can impress upon the formal systems in terms of the need to promote participatory plant breeding, and also involve farmers in selecting and breeding climate resilient crops, in terms of conduct workshops for farmers in terms of seed selection, storage, and conservation techniques to preserve indigenous varieties, and train farmers in climate-smart agriculture to integrate drought-resistant crops and agroecological practices. We also need to be paying particular attention to women and marginalized farmers, particularly in terms of facilitating inclusion, support women-led seed networks to ensure gender inclusivity in seed conservation and exchanges, provide incentives and resources to indigenous communities, particularly in terms of preserving traditional seed varieties. Also, I think one of the things that we have been looking at but needs more attention as we go forward is equipping smallholder farmers with digital tools, particularly in terms of weather forecasting, seed monitoring, and knowledge sharing, and promote community seed banks with modern seed storage and preservation techniques. For this, what we need to be looking at is in terms of creating robust seed banks or seed networks, and also developing farmer-led seed enterprises, particularly in terms of supporting local seed cooperatives to produce and distribute climate-resilient seeds, create and strengthen linkages between farmers, research institutions, and seed certification bodies. Here I will also talk a little bit later about the need for us to engage also with the private sector. Enhance community seed banks and genetic diversity, particularly in terms of strengthening community-managed seed banks to conserve local biodiversity, encourage regional seed sharing networks to improve access to diverse seed varieties, and strengthen public-private partnerships. There was also a discussion in the earlier session about how do we kind of facilitate that. One of the things that comes to me, and I'm sure there may be many other ways, is that I think we need to be starting to look at how we can tap into more the CSR funds, particularly to promote or to encourage them to invest in community-managed seed systems. And then I think as a result of that, they could eventually lead to also looking at if they're willing to or exploring the ability to invest, particularly in selected ones which have greater market potential. And I think we need to be looking at this from two strands, rather than just thinking that, that there will be select brands which the private sector will be invested, but also for them to invest and make those contributions to communities so that the seed production and the community managed seed systems continue to thrive. And we need to be looking at what kinds of how we can create an enabling environment, a policy environment wherein they integrate both formal and informal seed systems while ensuring farmers' rights and biodiversity conservation. And this is something that we need to be mindful as we engage with the private sector. We also need to be looking at how we are creating that safe space and also ensuring farmer rights and biodiversity conservation are promoted. We need to further strengthen the implementation of the Plant Protection, Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act. It's been there, and however, we need to further strengthen it and ensure that farmers' rights to save, exchange, share or sell seeds are legally protected, and that farmers are more knowledgeable of this. Likewise, we need to be integrating climate adaptation into national seed policies. Rather than focusing only on a certain set of hybrid seeds, it is important that we impress upon the policymakers through various fora to invest in community-managed seed systems, as they are more drought-tolerant and climate-resilient crops, particularly in the context of climate change. And it is here I think we need to be playing more proactive role and sensitizing the policymakers. And we do have the FAO's Global Plan of Action for Plant Genetic Resources to help countries to access the resource, to align the national strategies with this global resource and strategy. And more strongly advocate for subsidies, grants, and invest for farmer-led breeding programs and community seed banks as a mechanism and as a way for us to address, particularly in terms of addressing issues related to climate resilience, strengthening ability of communities to cope with climate variability. These are ways in which we could think about. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I would invite
Dr. Varaprasad. Dr. K.S. Varaprasad, former director of ICAR, Indian Institute of Oilseeds Research, is currently engaged as advisor, biosecurity and bioresources, APARI. He worked as head National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, Regional Station, Hyderabad, for over 2.5 decades. He has over 130 research and review publications to his credit and received several awards for his leadership and contribution that include Dodla Raghava Reddy Memorial Award, late Sri P.P. Singhal Memorial Industry Award, etc.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Girijan, for a wonderful introduction. I will go very quickly in my slide presentation, but I would like to make, when all of you pay 100% attention, 4 or 5 points. And after that, you can sleep. I have no problem. So you can, Dr. Oliver, I request you, you can distribute the PPT to everybody, and they can contact me for any further questions also. The first point is, everyone knows, but I don't know with how much emphasis. You change the seed, you change the agriculture. BT seed requires certain requirements. Hybrid seed requires some inputs, and traditional seeds, different inputs. So if you want a good agriculture, you want a good seed. What is that good seed? You have to, so seed system is very important. Second, I request, there is nobody who can really make decisions here, but this request, hope Swaminathan Foundation takes as a recommendation is, research shift, recognizing land race as a variety. It is not a germplasm, it is a variety. It is a traditional variety, it is not a land race. A traditional variety should be recognized as a variety. So, which means that you should focus research on that variety for your today's requirements, for climate resilience or production or whatever you want. So, and then the other thing is research from regional stations, headquarters, and research farms, please shift it to farm, from farmer's field, real-time research. These varieties have come from real-time research, the traditional varieties. Third point, location-specific documentation along with the value for cultivation. It's a lot of missing links are there. I worked under Dr. Kuldeep Singh for 25 years in NBPGR, experience is there. A lot of gaps are there in documentation with reference to the recognizing as a traditional variety. As an accession, we have more than 450,000. People from formal system talk about productivity and income. Oh, sorry. Okay. No. There is nothing in the slides. I told you in the beginning. I'm just two more points I will make, which if you are catching up that, rest of it will go. I can change the slides. So the people who talk of improved varieties, hybrids and BTs, they talk of productivity and income, but they do not talk of associated disadvantages. Now the entire globally it is now recognized we want to protect our environment, protect our nutrition, protect our health, which is everything is important. That point they don't take. Land races people will talk only health, nutrition, climate resilience. They do not talk about yield. So there is a mismatch. What we need is this at a particular location, particular land race will give higher yield than released varieties. We have examples. I don't want to talk more about it. Don't think the traditional varieties means no science is required. Science is very relevant. It is more relevant than yesterday because we can use drones, we can use biotechnological tools, we can use remote sensing for land races, for bringing them. And this science is extremely important. Highly funding imbalance is there between traditional varieties and improved varieties. Please allocate from the Government of India, from the research institutes, from every formal institute, please allocate at least 20%, 30% of your resources for land races. This is the time to take that. So now I will very quickly go through. These are the points that I wanted to make for the seed system. This is the organization for which I work, APARI. It has got presence in several countries. And seed systems is also an area where we work. And as I told you, if you change seed system, the so-called agri-food system will also change. You can't change the agri-food system without changing the seed system. So these are the linkages I gave 4 steps. You can see that if you want to transform the agri-food system, please change the seed system. Then the seed has traditional varieties, just they are not on the map of seed markets. Absolutely they are not on the market. Maybe they're a spec. I don't know, even that spec is doubtful. But market, you see, $76 billion market, global market. And even in South Asia of $3.4 billion. And we have about 3.82 in India. $1 billion, what I'm talking. So there is a huge scope. Globally, only 4 or 5 companies have taken over the seed market. You can see those 4 listed there, 4 or 5. 40% of the seed business is by these 4 companies. In India, we are fortunate. Still, we have more than 500 companies, which are small, medium. They can serve the landrace. So there is a scope for traditional varieties through these small companies to take up. And my opinion, small company is farmer-producer company. There's nothing else the small company means. So you have the formal seeds, informal seeds, community-managed seed systems, semi-formal seed systems, and then Dr. Oliver was telling alternate seed system, but now I call it as a landrace seed system of Odisha, which they have started and made certain standard operating procedures. You want more details? They are available also on the website. You can see the government order is there for following that seed system for land races. Then I just tried to compare the different, from the criteria angle, from the flow angle, from the categories, and also seed standards. This is one area where seed inspectors will come to play, and then sometimes where the business is affected, we have not reached that level. There they use this instrument to penalize the farmers and small farmer producer companies. So there is clear-cut differences between these things, and I am not advocating that you replace formal seed system with landrace seed system. Absolutely no. All will coexist. Everyone has its own role. Now it is unequal attention, unequal funding. Please increase the funding for the landrace. That's the only point I want to make. And what are the functions? For conservation, livelihood, resilience, income, and One Health. One Health concept globally is catching up, where they are all linked. Your soil health is not good, human health is also not good. Your seed health is not good, your plant health is not good. So it is all linked. Seed microbiome, plant microbiome, gut microbiome. All these are linked. So One Health is important. To conserve One Health, nothing like land races. They carry microbiome with them. They are not killed by the pesticide coating. Empower the communities. They should have legal ownership, market access, and commercialization. We have to pay attention. Digital technologies, not only the remote sensing technologies I told, digital and other technological revolutions can be adopted to the land races to bring them as varieties. This is the landrace seed system of Odisha, where you have the state level actors, block level, sub-block level, district level actors, and below the district level also. This is how this community managed seed system really works. You can read more details when you get this PPT. Then you have the GIAS and seed system, globally important agricultural heritage systems. This is one area where actually the government, the MSSRF, and the FPCs together can do a lot of change can be brought. Where some villages on their own, they don't allow the other seeds to come into their village. But there is no policy support from the government. There is no support to the farmers. I think that's definitely is required. GIAS is one area where you got recognition globally, but you don't recognize it locally. So that is where we need to really help the farmers to use this recognition to increase their income, to empower them, to be part of the mainstreaming this one. So what the Japan and China has done, I think there is a way to follow them. They have done many things. These are the two countries where a lot of heritage systems are recognized, and they have done a lot of things. And some of the examples I have given, where how they have promoted and how they have converted their heritage systems into a very vibrant and helping the farmers. You have similarly in the China, and I have given some examples, and the details are here, where, how, what is the export potential they have exploited. We have also examples. Kalajira is a good example. So whether you call it as a high yielding variety or traditional variety, it doesn't matter, as long as the communities get the benefit. If the communities are not getting benefit, whatever you call it makes no sense. So because they have conserved it. Then you have the Koraput, excellent work done by MSSRF, but a lot of, most of it I think most of you know, but I would like to say that what is done is not even 10%. What can be done is more than 90% it can be done. There is a lot of scope to do it in the Koraput area. There are challenges. which I have told you in the beginning itself, the agricultural scientists and social scientists never work together. They work in two boxes. They should come together. The artists, the scientists, everybody should come together. That's very important. The knowledge of benefits are not known to the farmers, not fully exploited. And the genetic base is good. Loss of traditional knowledge is tremendous. Documentation of variety-wise from that location and promoting only in that. Don't think that what variety works in Uttarakhand, we should bring it in Tamil Nadu or Odisha and do that. No, it's not. That is not the way at all. So what we should do is what traditional varieties originated from that place which understood and underwent the environment, soil, climate, rainfall, everything they have underwent and they are developed as a variety. We fail to recognize them as a variety, which is very important. Ownership, see, PPFR is excellent in recognition. But after that, the provision of the Act does not give to bring them to seed supply chain. It is very good, you get the ownership, put a photo frame in your room. Beyond that, you should come to the supply chain, seed supply chain. We need to do that. There are policy and legal gaps. PM Pranam, if you give to state, what is the advantage of to the farmers who are not using fertilizers? It should go to the individuals, not to the state. So that doesn't look very logical to me. NFNM should come more to the farmers directly. GI tag and GIAS are two different things. We should try to understand and take the advantage of both. Guidelines are not clear, it should be made. Everybody globally talking about marketing of traditional varieties. How do we really make it happen? Marketing, export, certification is a major issue. How do you get it certified? How do you phytosanitary certificates will come? And there are research and knowledge, first point, that is what I made. There should be a shift now that please change your attitude, recognize that variety was developed over hundreds of years by the traditional wisdom of the people for that area. So for that thank you. This is a team effort. Everyone contributed. And there is no IPR associated with PPT. Thank you. I think there is a short film. They will play that. Thank you.
హరిత విప్లవం వచ్చిందో అధిక దిగుబడులని రైతులు ఆరాటపడి హైబ్రిడ్ విత్తనం వైపు పరుగులు తీసి దేశీయ విత్తనాన్ని వదిలేశారు. మా తాతల కాలంలోనే మా వరి విత్తనాలు మా చేలోయే ఉండేవి. మేము కూడా విత్తనాలు వేరే రైతులకు అమ్మేవాళ్ళం.
Srinivasa Rao, originally from Jampani village in southern India, embraced natural farming following his father's passing from cancer, which he attributed to the food we consume.
ఒరిస్సాలో డేబుల్ డేబ్ అని ఒక సైంటిస్ట్ ఉన్నాడు. ఆయన ఈ దేశీ వరి వంగడాలను సేకరిస్తాడు. ఆయన దగ్గర ఒక 8 రకాలు తెచ్చా. ప్రతి రైతుకి ఉచితంగానే ఇస్తాడు, కానీ కేజీ అర కేజీ ఇచ్చి ఆ రైతునే డెవలప్ చేసుకోమంటాడు.
Traditional seed varieties are open-pollinated, capable of reproducing to yield seeds, and are readily available locally.
ఈ దేశీయ విత్తనం ఏంటంటే దాని యొక్క స్టెమ్ ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో చాలా గట్టిగా ఉంటుంది. దాని ఆకు కూడా కొంచెం మందంగా బరగ్గా ఉంటుంది. పురుగు ఏదన్నా వచ్చిందంటే దానికి ఆహారం దొరకాలంటే ఎక్కువసేపు కష్టపడాలి. ఆకుని తినాలన్నా చేయాలన్నా కానీ. అదే దోమపోటు కూడా ఆ బొంగుని ఎక్కువసేపు అక్కడ దాని ఆహారం దొరకదనమాట, బొంగు గట్టిగా ఉండటం వల్ల.
Srinivas Rao's farm demonstrated abiotic resilience by withstanding the Meechaung cyclone that struck Andhra Pradesh in December 2023.
ఈ బహురూపి కానీ, కుంకుమశాలి కానీ, కాలాబట్ట ఉంది, ఒరిస్సా బాస్మతి ఉంది, అట్లాంటి వంగడాలు ఇప్పుడు అధిక ఉష్ణోగ్రతని తట్టుకోగలదు. తక్కువ నీటి శాతం తీసుకుని కూడా పండగలదు. విత్తనంలోనే ఉంది. ఒకవేళ నీళ్ళలో మునిగిపోయినా కానీ ఎక్కువ రోజులు కూడా పంట అది చెడిపోదు.
Traditional rice varieties contain higher levels of protein, fat, crude fiber, and micronutrients like iron, zinc, calcium, and magnesium compared to hybrid seeds.
చాలా అనువైన పంట, ప్రతి రైతు వేసుకోదగిన పంట ఈ కుంకుమ పువ్వు అండి. 25-30 బస్తాలు గ్యారంటీకి వచ్చింది దిగుబడి కూడా. ఒక కంకికి వచ్చి 300 దగ్గర కూర్పు అనమాట ఇది. ప్లస్ సన్నగా ఉంటుంది, అన్నం కూడా బాగుంటుంది, ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు తినొచ్చు, ఫైబర్ కంటెంట్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. దీంట్లో ఇది తింటే షుగర్ అట్లాంటిది ఏమీ ఉండదు. దీని పేరు కులాకర్ అనమాట. ఇది ఎకరానికి వచ్చి దిగుబడి 20 బస్తాలు 22 బస్తాల కాడికి వచ్చిందండి. ఇది ప్రెగ్నెంట్ లేడీస్కి చాలా బాగా ఉపయోగం అండి. ఎట్లా ఫ్రీ డెలివరీ అవడానికి, రక్తం వృద్ధి అవడానికి, రక్త ప్రసరణ జరగడానికి బాగుంటుంది. పరిశోధన టెస్ట్ చేసి, ల్యాబ్లో టెస్ట్ చేసి రైతుకు తెలియజేసే విధానం కనుక ఉంటే ఇంకా రైతు దాని గురించి ఇంకా ఎక్కువ ప్రయోగాలు చేసే అవకాశం ఉంటుందండి.
Next speaker is Dr. Kuldeep Singh. Dr. Kuldeep Singh is a molecular biologist with more than 30 years of experience. Since 2001, he is heading the gene bank of ICRISAT and responsible for efficient conservation of germplasm both at headquarters in India and regional centers in Africa. Prior to this, Dr. Singh worked as the director of ICAR, National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, New Delhi, from August 2016 to August 2021. Dr. Singh is a member of more than 20 national and international scientific committees of several institutes. Dr. Singh received his MSc and PhD degrees in plant breeding from Punjab Agriculture University. Dr. Singh guided 14 MSc students and 14 PhD students. Dr. Singh is the recipient of Bole Global Rust Initiative Gene Stewardship Award in 2018. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thanks to Dr. Varaprasad for playing that movies. Everybody's fresh, so it's not a lunch effect now for that one. Well, both my colleagues, they made a very good presentation on transforming the seed systems. I don't think anything additional can be said than what both of them really said about it. Please bear with me if it seems too negativity in my presentation, but I will make it a negativity in the sense how the things are changing. And until and unless the panic is created, people are not going to listen to that one. And for creating the panic, you really have to bring all the negativities somewhere together to the people. Well, this is what I told in the morning, that how the things have changed since the domestication of plants started and we started performing the agriculture. So it's very well known here. But an actual picture, typical for India from 1960s, which is just 40, 50 years, look at this picture. What are the crops which got increased in the consumption and the crops where the consumption went down? For example, millets, 63% reduction in the consumption of millets since 1963. And this is an old data, in fact, it's around 10 years. The publication is also 2017 or something, 2014, and the data was collected 5 years back. So it's still lower than that one that we are seeing. So this is a fact. This is definitely what we are looking for. Now, what impact it has? Now, this is in data, one of the beautiful data, National Family Health Survey 4, comparing the data with the National Family Health Survey 3. Look at the top, Punjab, Haryana. Annual productivity in the lands is highest in the world. 11 tons grains per year wheat and rice. No other part of the world produces that one. So, farm holdings is not that small that they cannot afford eating it. They do eat enough of it. But still look at it. The anemic percentage of the women who are anemic has increased anywhere. Why did it happen? Only because of the monoculture. I mean, there was a saying, for example, every farmer was growing in Punjab the mustard on the bunds. And when these were really those twigs, anybody will go to the farm, take it out, chew it, and that was the source of iron. So iron was never a deficiency. But now we have it. It's because of the monoculture. That is where the important of the things are here. I mean, we are saying we have enough to eat. The governments are saying, all our institutions, we are claiming that we are doing well. But the fact is here. Other than starchy vegetables, we are not eating enough than what we should be eating. So we are not really what we say surplus producers, not at all. That's a myth. And our population is still 1.3, 1.4% increase, 1.5% increase. And that's the base is so wider that is going to increase. So we have to be careful on all these things. And if we look what the ideal should be, ideal is that half of our plate really should be, I mean, what we need is really a sort of, here I'm saying, so that means food transformation is required. There's no doubt in that. Looking at, in our own cases, not the global scenario, we are looking at the national scenario. The transformation is required. There's no doubt in that one. And of course, this is what people say, how it should be, what plate should look like. This is one sort of challenge. And second challenge, which Konda also presented it here, we have already crossed that 1.4 degree mark. how much is it going to impact our production, productivity is really known. The incessant rains, not one, not two, not three, dozens of examples in the last couple of years where you have 200 millimeter, 400, 500 millimeter rain coming in just 24 to 48 hours. That will lead to waterlogging. And if those crops where we are really working, especially during rainy season, if they don't have the waterlogging tolerance, we will have the severe losses on that cases. Drought, come to look at this stage. This is Zimbabwe 23-24. 100% loss of maize crop. 100%. Assume that this was a disease and the seed production farms were also affected, would have lost the seed immediately in 1 year. Imagine, and Zimbabwean government asked for several few $1 billion support from the global people for really looking for this one. And Karnataka also had the same thing. And this is why I'm presenting this crop. Maize is one of the most well-studied crop by the private sector, by the public sector, by the farmers. Highest level of diversity present in this one. Claims both by the public sector, by the international institutions, by the private sector that we have really tremendous resources for drought tolerance, but stages like this. These are the challenges, in fact. And hence, gene banks, be it what we have, the ex-situ gene banks and the national international systems, or we have the in-situ gene banks which are being conserved by the farmers at the real-time diversity. These are the answers to all the challenges. This is what Vetri presented the slide as well. Almost, it's not that ex-situ, we did realize the importance of the genetic resources globally, and action was also taken, more or less all over the world, that the genetic resources have been conserved. They are lying in the gene banks, but they are static, they are not evolutionary. So that is one difference between if you have a live diversity in situ conservation at farmers' fields versus the seeds conserved in the gene banks. And the CG gene banks are really playing an important role in that one, doing good job, I would say. And look here, how this distribution, this is last 10 years data, how the seed distribution has changed over our last 1 decade. Initially, most of the germplasm was going to the CG centers themselves for breeding purposes, but now we see there's a complete shift. The national systems are asking for more and more germplasm than what we are actually giving to the centers here. Look at the left side, if you can read, I don't know, even individual farmers asking germplasm from the gene banks, and this is made available to them by the CG systems. So example here, this is 1 year, this is 2022 or 2023 data, it should be 2023 data. 978 requests coming from farmers and seed going to them, to the individuals. So it's not, the CG gene banks are playing their role very well when it comes to the distribution of the germplasm, scientific conservation of the germplasm. Yes, we are not increasing the collections now because of the CBD. That is except in few places, for example, we do it in Africa still. The partners are coming forward for the germplasm collection and, of course, selection, but nowhere else at the moment. But this is still what we are doing. And all this is being done under the multilateral system. Now, I would like to spend a few moments here on this one, the ITPG-RFI. What Konda also said, right now we have the international treaties, international provisions for that one. And this treaty has 4 main provisions. That means the multilateral system. Currently 64 crops, which constitute a major part of our food crops, they are being exchanged under the system, but a very large number of the crops is out of the system. And the negotiations are currently going on to ensure that it's expanded. And India went forward where the Minister of Agriculture made an opening statement to the treaty that we are willing, we are ready to expand that one. So India's position is very, very clear on that one. Access and benefit sharing. Now here is one point. यहाँ मैं हिंदी में कहना चाहूँ कि बहुत सारे लोगों को यह है कि भाई टीटी में जो जर्मप्लाज्म जा रहा है वो लोग आईपीआर ले लेंगे. ट्रीटी बहुत क्लियर है इस पर. आपका जर्म प्लाज्म जहां भी जाएगा वो यूज करेंगे पब्लिक गुड के लिए. IPR पेटेंट उस पर नहीं लिया जाएगा. This is treaty is very, very clear on that one. Look for the farmers' rights. We were discussing one point here, that how the things are here. Now here, see, if I read the second point, B point, it calls for protecting traditional knowledge of these farmers, increasing their participation in national decision-making process, and ensuring that they share in benefits from the use of these resources. This is a treaty, this is a legal binding to the government. Government has signed it. So the farmers have a right to go to the government to ask their rights what they have. And of course, we have one of the best rights, farmers' right at the moment. No question on that one. So that means still we really need to educate our farmers, their rights, how this could be done. Likewise, sustainable use. Look for the B point here. We say treaty is supposed to maximize the use of all crops and promotes development and maintenance of diverse farming systems. So that means governments have agreed to these things. It is for us to go to the governments to tell them whatever we are doing is fine, but we need to do something more on that one. And that is where the foundations like MSSRF or other organizations can really make the point on that one. Please let me know what my time finishes, then I can stop there. These are the 3-4 points which I really wanted to make very clear. But this is how the CGIAR works. We have 5-year plans everywhere. This was a plan which was 2020-24. We had all these things. So that means conserving of genetic resources and expanding their use was one of the important initiative of that one. And that was done. And in fact, the gene banks did it, but what I will tell you now, in the coming year, and based on that, this battery also showed here, but we have a video. I have presented this like this. We have a video that's 8 minutes video. If the time permits, we can play this video to show how gene banks really came forward for the farmers' rescue, I wouldn't say the rescue, for farmers' welfares in 2 countries, in Niger and Chad. And this is ICRISAT's regional gene bank, which they did. Of course, funding came from the German government. But that one, but a beautiful impact of, and this was in response to the Ukraine crisis, basically. The people were really thinking the actual food grain which Ukraine was exporting to these countries may not reach there, and there would be famines and other things. So people were really ready for this one, and this is one example. We can project this film movie later on if the time permits on that one. ICRISAT has a good number of the programs with government of Odisha, and I will just brief 1 or 2 points of that. For example, we have now a program with the government of Odisha, where we are helping them in seed production for groundnuts, pigeon peas, chickpeas, mung bean, urad bean. And not only the commercially released varieties, we are helping this one even for the land races as well. ICRISAT is training the staff there to ensure how to manage, how to maintain the land races, how to identify them, how to collect them, all those that run. We are helping them through formulation of the self-help groups, and it's all a capacity building on that one. And you see 24-25 this year, more than 300 advanced cultivars of pigeon pea, groundnut, millets. They were tested directly at the farmers' fields. Certified seed production of groundnut was taken at 575 hectares. And certified seed production of improved pigeon pea was taken up through FPOs in 2,000 hectares. So this is already an international institute having linkage with the government, state government, and this is one of the very successful models actually in the CG system here as well. Seed is a very important component, and storing the seed in community seed banks, ensuring that they're not damaged by the diseases, by the insects, by other things. This is one of the area where ICRISAT has really worked on a technology which was originally developed by the Purdue University, what they call it Purdue Improved Crop Storage. So these are very simplified bags. which are known, which are hermetic bags, and they really help in keeping long shelf life of the seeds, protecting them from insect damage and other things. And this is the, progress, basically what is there. We say 300,000 pig bags, they were distributed to 25,000 farmers from 2018 to 2024-25, up to this one. And especially this was promoted and used in this one, groundnuts, which are highly, targeted for these insects as well as the fungi for aflatoxin production. So this is one technology probably which we, I'm sure, with this clear with the Swaminathan Foundation, we have worked with that one, but this could further be improved in terms of size and other things required for smaller. See, these are 50 kg bags, but if we have the community seed banks where the quantities are smaller, these could be really improvised actually. That is where the foundation can take a forward step on that one, and maybe FAO can come forward to support on that one on a larger scale. I think this is, I'm saying 2-3 slides how CG gene banks are going to work in future. Not only making the seeds available, conserving and available to the public, but actually our next 5-year plan is how we'll be really interacting and supporting to the breeders. And see the CG, the last one, the seed equal. That is one area where earlier the CGs were not working directly on seed production, but now the seed is an equal important component for the CGs. A lot of emphasis being done. A lot of research is coming on the seed production, quality, quantity, management, production. All those things are coming. Global lessons will be available. And this will tell you that though we do realize that there are challenges, and we have to be prepared for this challenge. I'm just giving 2 slides, one for chickpea only. We have 5,000 accessions of germplasm from both NBPGR and ECRISAT gene banks analyzed for whole protein content. So you have a variation up to 27% protein. So that means if we want to really increase the protein content, we have to use these stocks partners. The same set has been analyzed for drought tolerance. And this is one of the components of drought adaptation. See the total variability which is available in these 5,000 lines. Also, under heat, because when we are thinking of this area where to bring in chickpea after rice fallow, you need a heat tolerance in that one. And we have seen, so all these things are going on not only here, but elsewhere as well. It was just to share with you that though there are challenges, we are familiar with those challenges, we are actually aware of those challenges, and we are ready for the solutions as well. Well, thank you very much for this one. This movie can be played anytime after the session if you have time to play.
Yeah. Next speaker is Dr. Costanza Condi. Dr. Costanza is an honorary visiting fellow based in Stockholm, Sweden, and Gorakhpur, India. Dr. Condi's research focuses on food, climate, and health. She specializes in sustainable food system transformation, developing equitable and context-appropriate solutions that respond to uncertainty. As a postdoctoral scientist, she contributes to global research aimed at transforming the food system to sustainably feed the future population of 10 billion. She received her PhD in food system transformation from the University of Reading, UK. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming here. And I know it's the last session before the tea break, so I think we are all a bit sleepy. But if okay, thanks. So aside from all of the interesting things in the conference, I've also learned that I need more power in my glasses because I can't read the board. But yeah, I am going to present to you how traditional food systems do have challenges, but also represent an enormous opportunity for food system transformation. And as my colleagues who spoke before me have very vividly conveyed, traditional seeds are important for biodiversity, climate resilience, cultural heritage, food security, and nutrition. And up until now, we have mostly seen the farmer's choice of seed as the farmer's choice only. And even though farmers do need to be empowered to make their choices on what they produce and what they consume, it seems to be bigger than that. So the traditional choice is the choice between improved seeds that are higher yielding in the short term, but potentially over-rely on inputs and cause environmental depletion over time. And on the other side, we have traditional seeds which require lower inputs, are climate resilient, and provide steady yields even in tough climatic conditions. So everyone now is talking about food system transformation, and I think both the government of India and abroad are doing many efforts to make food system generally more food secure, more climate resilient, more environmentally sustainable while granting good livelihoods. And yet, even though we have all these efforts, results are not really coming through. And why is that? So there is a paradox here, which is about how historical choices, so choices that we have made in the past 50, 60 years, have shaped current directions of development in the food system. And so we can think about this as the dangerous road. So 50 years ago, we decided that we would implement high-yielding varieties and we would focus our production on a few crops. And now, for a weather well-meaning, because we wanted to increase productivity and feed a growing world population, these choices now mean that we are walking a dangerous road for sustainability, a road that we are struggling to shift from. And why is that? So it's often helpful to see food system change in a food system view. So what are the barriers in current food systems in India and over the globe that prevent us from a sustainability shift that delivers us nutritious foods and environmentally sustainable produce, and that also grants good livelihoods to farmers? So here I'm now going to walk you through 6 factors that keep us stuck on these unsustainable food systems, and I'm trying to be brief. My colleagues have spoken about several of them already, but I'm going to speak about them as a sort of bundle of issues. So the first is technology persistence. So as we have seen, I have just put an image there that shows a comparison between the seeds that we had at the beginning of the century, or of the 19th century, sorry, to the seeds that we have 80 years later, so in 1983. And we see that the seed varieties have hugely been depleted. And high-yielding hybrid seeds have started to dominate international and national markets. And mechanization has favored this by focusing on these monocrops or modern crops over indigenous ones. And at the same time, we had a loss of knowledge and skills on how to use these traditional seeds that were predominant at the beginning of the 19th century. The second factor is to be computed to infrastructural issues as well as skewed market demand. So Dr. Somnia before was mentioning that farmers do not have high enough returns for millets. And why is that? It's because consumers currently do not want or do not prefer, in most cases, to consume millets, but prefer wheat or rice or other ultra-processed and even unhealthier foods. And that is because in the last 50 years, there has been a nutrition transition that has shifted consumers' preferences. And at the same time, as my colleagues have mentioned, we have very limited storage facilities for traditional seeds and sparse community seed banks that allow for concrete and successful storage of traditional varieties, thus leading to loss of genetic diversity and of indigenous varieties. And here is the tricky part that concerns us researchers, but also policymakers. So we have had policies in the past prioritizing certain crops over others. So the minimum support price or the PDS are critical examples of this, prioritizing rice and wheat. And at the same time, big research investments have been made to improve the productivity of some crops over others. So investments made on rice are 10-fold, 20-fold, 30-fold, the ones that have been made on millet. So of course, rice productivity and yields will be higher than millets because they have been subject of improvements for last 7 decades. So what does this all mean? And here it's more important to maybe focus on solutions rather than problems. But this means that a systemic approach that tackles all of these systemic problems is required to have true food systems change and true food system sustainability. Sorry. So here, a critical thing in this approach is to have roadmaps that actually allow for having multiple solutions implemented in a tandem. This means production-related solutions, consumption-related solutions, policy-related solutions implemented together to have meaningful change. So this means improving technology options and knowledge transfer, so combining indigenous knowledge with scientific advancements that can restore, protect, and enhance traditional seeds, for example, through participatory plant breeding, which many colleagues here are doing and making efforts on. But we also, at the same time, need behavioral change campaigns that can shift consumers' preferences back to traditional crops instead of, for example, rice and wheat. And we also need infrastructure improvements that can establish the right type of infrastructure to preserve and conserve the seeds that we want to promote in the future and that will allow over the long term to deliver higher nutritional security and higher climate resilience. So in terms of targeted policy priorities, for sure, redirecting R&D funding strategies towards these traditional seed systems and traditional crops will be critical to support efforts both on the field and at the higher levels to preserve those varieties. Financial incentive mechanisms will equally be required so that farmers can cultivate traditional varieties in a way that is economically viable for them, and at the same time consumers can shift consumption towards these varieties that will have higher nutritional benefits, so promoting the One Health approach in which the health of the plant is also the health of the consumer. And then finally, we have it will be critically important to integrate traditional system into state and national schemes. So the Millet Mission here in Odisha is a wonderful effort to promote that, but we need more on the same lines. So just quickly wrapping up the presentation, what do we learn from here? And some of my colleagues have mentioned the need to bring together qualitative and quantitative researchers, but more broadly, what we need is a coordinated transformation that enables multiple stakeholders, so farmers, policymakers, researchers, food processors, to come together and think about interconnected solutions that can tackle the interconnected nature of the sustainability problems that we are facing. So thank you very much. Thanks to all who have traveled here, and in particular to farmers who joined the consultation. It's a pleasure to have you. And yeah, thanks a lot.
ସେଇଠି ବସ
मोर ना होची लोचन सुखिया माछरा मोर ना होची लोचन सुखिया माछरा आसीथि मोर भाई भौणी मान के बड़ बड़ बाबू मान के सरते लोके मोर जुआर चेन्नई लोक आसी आता के मोक बड़े श्रद्धा लागली मुई मिसा चेन्नई देखु जाइले मोक बहुत खुशी लागुची सर एले आमे आगरे बुणा बुणी करथिलु सर रूपा को किसी जानि नथिलु स्वामीनाथ बाबू मन आसी बुणा बुणी करो रूपा रूपी करो हमल टिके हदी गासबो बोली किना कहलारु एबे बुणा बुणी छाड़ी देई किना लाइन सेंस करछु एसएमआई करूछु तापरे साइकेल उडर देले गास बांचीबाटा कमी जीवो काहे के एते कष्ट पडुची बोली कि बाबू मन आसी कि हमको आत्रे गोडरे धरि कि सिखाइले सिखाइलारु एबे बुणा बुणी करी न करी किना एबे रुआ रुई करूछु तापरे साइकेल उडर मन को गाँ गाँ को बुली बुली देले हमको निजे सिखाइले तापरे जिया कत कहले ये सबू सबू औषध पत्र ये देसी मेडिसिन सबू सिखाइले सिखाइलारु हमको एबे आगरे बुणा बुणी करतुले बापा माँ एबे तो आमे बुणा बुणी करिनु रुआ रुई करछु आगरे 4 क्विंटल 3 क्विंटल हेउतिला एबे जेमति कि उटे 8 क्विंटल 10 क्विंटल लक आछि सर सेटा टिके हमको बोल लागुची बुणा बुणी करवा को भी हमको इच्छा लागु नै अब काली रुआ रुई करछु
his name is Laichan Sukia. He's a farmer from Machra village of Koraput. Actually, he's telling earlier we used to follow the traditional method of broadcasting in millet cultivation, and MSSRF trained on SMI and plant transplanting. So we followed that, and it also helped in reducing the labor we used to in weeding. So that reduced because we used cycle weeder. So technology we adopted, and earlier we used to get 3 to 4 quintal broadcasting. Now we are getting 8 to 10 quintals after adopting this technology. So this is helping a lot to us.
आगरे बुणा बुणी बिहन कले धान पान माड़ाइले आगरे 10 टंका 8 टंका केजी बिकुतिलु सर एबे बिहन आकार बाबू मन शिखाइबारु माई केड़ो खाड़ी देकिना पिलो केड़ो थाउची पिलो केड़ो थिले ताकू पड़ाबुड़ी करिकिना अलगा आमे रखुछु माई केड़ो जाको थिले मूल केड़ो जाको सब हमल करिकिना बाबू मन को बिहन आकार रे बिकुछु आमे बाबू मन आकार नेउचंदी
So
एबे जा जाको से पिलोटा आमे खाउछु ओते जा बाकीटा हमरो मंडी मन आसुची मंडी रे मने कार 10 क्विंटल 20 क्विंटल लेले ई बढ़िया बिकुछु एबे गांव को आवरी किए पुंजे कमिटी व्यापारी मन आसुतिले से मान को एबे देउनी सार मन सिखाइले काकू दियो नै बोलो रेट रे बिको बोली किना कहलारु एबे काकू भी दिया होनी
another aspect is telling that seed production technology we learned from MSSRF. Earlier that technology we didn't use because we are only using that our grains as the seeds. So after learning the seed production technology, we are producing seeds, and earlier we used to sell the grains only. Now we are selling seeds with good price, and we are not giving to any middlemen now. Now we are selling seed to even if government system and others, and we are getting good price out of that. That is good for us. And even if any other people are coming and asking for seeds with a low price, we are not giving. So that is the major change with the seed production technology they learned. Thank you. Thank you. Millets, yeah, millets, finger millet and little millet. True. Yeah, let's.
नमस्कार मोर नाले रुक्मणी किलो गायलन जलागुड़ा बलकुंद्रा कोरापुट जिला हेले आमी तासी बहणी जे आम तास कलुनी आमर देसी धान देसी मांडिया देसी कोलत बिरी सबू राशि अलसी सबू आमी देसी टाका कलुनी आमी खाइबा पई हमके दियोरे मिसा शरीरे मिसा बोल बोली करी आमी देसीटा छाड़ू नाई जेतिकी आमी से सरकारी टाणी करी कलेसर नाई के हमर शरीर के लाभ न देये हमर देसीटा कले लाभ देइसी गोबर कत देई करी आमी आंडी कत बनाई करी सबुडा हमर देसी टाका बनाई करी रोप फगेले मिसा फिरिंग बोलुनी आ रोपला बेले मिसा आगे बुनतेरलु एबे नाई कि आमी दाड़ी रोपलुनी आगे हमन के टेरनी देलाई ସବୁ ଟ୍ରେନିଂ ଦେଲା আমি নড়ি মিচার মিশা কলুনি চতুর্তাস মিশা কলুনি আমি সে দান লগাইকা কাটি করি ସବୁ ସିଡ଼ି ମନକେ କାଟି ଆନି କରି ଛତୁଆରି ଖୋଲୁନି ସବୁ ଲାଭ ପାଇଲୁନି ଆମେ ଟ୍ରେନିଂ ପାଇ କରି ଆଗେ ଏମିତି ନ କରତେ ହେଲୁ ଆଗେ ସବୁ ନାଇଁ କି ସବୁ ବୁଣା ବୁଣିଆ କରତେ ହେଲୁ ଘାସ ମିଶା ବାଛବାକେ ଅସୁବିଧା ହେଇତେରଲା ଏବେ ଦାଡ଼ି ରପି କରି ଆମେ ସାଇକେଲ ରେ ଲଗାଇ କରି ସେ ଦାଡ଼ି ରପଲେ ବୁଲାଇ ଦିନ ପାଇଁ କି ଆମକେ ସୁବିଧା ଲାଗଲାନି ଏତକି
She is focusing on again that traditional varieties, different crops she named like rice, millet, pulses like horse gram, again other oil seeds, Niger. Those all those varieties they are cultivating maximum traditional varieties by organic way of cultivation. They learned how to cultivate within that organic process, and they are now following the improved practices, agricultural practices like land transplanting and using the improved that agricultural gadgets like cycle loader, cone loader, etc. So that is helping them to reduce the labor wage that used earlier in for weeding. So that is very much helpful, and they are not leaving this practice. That is because that is having good, even giving good yields, and the straw of rice early, for this traditional varieties they are using for mushroom cultivation. So mushroom production is also helping to them as for their own consumption and selling. So but high yielding varieties they were earlier not using. So after this practicing of traditional varieties of rice, that is helpful for the mushroom cultivation. So these are the changes she taught from MSSRF. Thank you.
Small doubt about the PIX Purdue package material. What will be the moisture content for drying down? Because the problem for high density packing is the moisture has to be brought down to 7%, 8%. So in the case of paddy and all that, is it drying down to 7% is just impossible. So I was just thinking, I mean, groundnut pod you have shown, but I was having a doubt, how do we really dry down to the required moisture for vapor-proof packing up to 7%, 8%? That is a real problem for us. So we kindly guide us.
Practice to make it 8 to 10%. No, that 8 to 10% is feasible if you dry them properly and then store them easily. Right. No, even in fact, once you dry them under the natural conditions, it comes down to 10%. 10% is not that difficult. It's only if you want to bring below 10%, then you may really have to do those dry rooms which are not feasible for the farmers. But the technology, I think the data is available for all these crops where they're using it. Is a complete data available with us. In case we will provide you the data from ICSID.
Sir, one small doubt from Kondarati presentation. Sir, due to the climate change, 5 to 10% of the nutrition deterioration is taking place, you have mentioned. Then now how to recover from that thing? Whether any indigenous varieties or something our Kuldeep is having in the gene bank that we can use to solve this problem?
I think basically we have to look at alternate varieties, because we just know that because of the climate change and the increased temperatures, the nutritional deficiencies are, basically the nutritional quality of the crops is being undermined. And so we need to be looking at, as our other experts have said, we need to be looking at local varieties which have the ability to withstand the high temperatures.
Whether biofortification will solve this issue, sir?
I am not the expert and I don't want to make a guess. Any other colleagues?
Actually, in continuation of what Dr. Kondarati said, if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Right? So for breeders, it looks like everything as this is a resource material, not a ready-made variety. So I would like to say your point is very valid. Like Dr. Kuldeep has shown very well, that there is a variability up to 27% of protein, right? Where from it is coming? Which village? Okay, 25%. From where it is coming, that variety? Has it originated there? Can I just delete the mixtures that has happened over a period of time, improve using biotechnology tools, give that variety to them? That approach is lacking now, and I want that kind of thing will bring quick solutions for climate resilience. And what you said, if you can eat rice with a leafy vegetable, why do you want iron fortification? I don't understand that. So fortification is something which should not be spent millions and billions of dollars on fortification. My view, I can differ.
Yeah, let me add you one more thing. The documented data on impact of climate change, especially the heat, is on protein for wheat. There's a gene called GPC, grain protein content gene, that was transferred from wild species. And it's a very well characterized gene. It was transferred to several varieties in India. But we have seen across the North India, stability is not that high as it should. Somewhere it gives you 13% protein, somewhere it gives you same gene in the same background, ensuring that the minimum nitrogen level is same. So that is a clear indication that the temperatures are also really playing this one. But we have identified other sources from dicocoms, high protein. You plant them anywhere, Central India, North India, East India, those data are available. That protein content remains the same in that one. But that still has to go a long way to bring that gene into the cultivator. But right now the data, the indications are available that you have these climatic effects on the nutritional values very well.
Thank you for the panel members for the insightful presentations and raising certain issues. My question is for all the panelists. We have been talking about this farmers' rights access benefit sharing, and legal system is also in place. But from farmers' point of view, so far we have released so many varieties of land races into a kind of local varieties or notified varieties. But where is the access benefit sharing framework? And what challenges we are facing and how do we overcome it? Thank you.
Should well, I will say that yes, the benefit is being shared back to the farmers. Why? Most of our breeding programs are public sector breeding programs. And any new variety that is released is all backed for the farmers. Not only charging them, but there are several government programs where subsidized seed is also given to the farmers to grow those varieties. And you go to the Ministry of Agriculture, ask them how much amount they are giving a subsidy. Can't we say that this is already a benefit sharing? Now, a variety, any variety, for example, that might have been used, let us say GPC1, which I was talking from wheat, that came from Middle East in one of the wild species. But it went back to all the farmers globally. Take the submergence 1 gene, which came from Odisha. It went to all farmers globally. Is this not paying back to the farmers? Now you say simply that, okay, now the question is, this sub-1 gene line that was available not in a small area, not a small village, not in one person, it was in a larger area. To whom to give that benefit? PPFRA can really recognize you giving a community-based reward, that's all. But otherwise, I think with the public system, this is already going back to the system. I am of that viewpoint.
Yeah, because we deliberately brought the legal system. But after that also the same situation is continuing. That is one.
Let any farmer come, give one example to the government. Okay, this was where we had a right You have not given us back right to this one, or you have sold it to someone on getting a profit, and that profit has not come to us.
Yeah.
Royalty has not. The government system, whole seed system in the government is no profit, no loss system. In fact, when we were accessing the global germplasm under SMTA, I read it once in my life what this is. The one line that, okay, if you access it, you have to pay back a part of the share to the profit. So we were convinced we are working in the public sector system. It's a no profit, no loss system, so I don't need to worry for that. I never bother for signing SMTA, anything, because we are not charging any. Yes, we got some genes, for example, for rice. Public sector came to us that you give us a royalty. We said, no, we cannot give you the royalty. I mean, we cannot give you. You can use it as a public system, sell it to the public system again. See, and the same thing is, if we sell a gene to the private system, private sector, I mean, we have to look very differently. If I sell let's say government sells 1 billion rupees gene to a private, if he sells that seed back to the farmers, that cost will be included in the seed cost. If government doesn't charge to them, they will not include that that cost into the seed at all. So that goes actually indirectly, which we are not recognizing. We may have a different opinion on that one, but
And generics also public good. Yeah, otherwise. This is public good. This is your interpretation. Yes. But that kind of
So I have a small point. One is coming from a non-agricultural background, I was slightly wary, but there were 4 very wonderful presentations. And what I found is that there was a lot of unifying views in all of them. So then the thought that comes to my mind is, then why is this not happening? You know, and we know what is the problem and what is the way ahead, why this is not happening. So I think one of the lacunae that I see here when we talk of stakeholders, there is no representation from the government, there is no representation from the corporate sector on this panel. Because government operates in a certain way, we know the policies that government makes. Often they are for a very limited purpose of being in power. And the corporate sector often has policies for earning profits. So they are not so much bothered about nutrition or sustainability. So if these 2 stakeholders were there, I think it might have been a richer discussion. But well, anyway, the presentations were very good, and there was a unifying thread through all of them. But some perspectives were not on the table.
I mean, I could be wrong also. That I am not talking about agriculture side. What I know, one example has been done in Kani tribes in Kerala. One Kani tribe is there. So what happened? They gave the information on certain medicine, ethnomedicine tribes, and as per Biodiversity Act, there was one gentleman, is a very famous Dr. P. Puspangadan in Kerala, TBGRI, TBGRI director. So he used that act, Biodiversity Act, and till now, Kani tribes are getting benefit of the royalty. This is a submission, because there are some act in other fields, not, I don't know about what about agriculture, but this is an example, and this has become a trend setting. He got normal Borlaga award something, P. Puspangadan. He's a botanist. But the thing he get benefited for the tribals. Is there any scope for doing this type of act in agriculture? That is my submission to you.
This National Biodiversity Act is applicable both to all the living systems, be it plants, be it animals, be it food crops, be it cash crops. It's there. It's already there. And it's not that there are many other examples where India is earning sufficiently out of those. For example, there's one gene in buffalo or in cattle that got transferred to Brazil. They are using it and we are getting it. Yes. Yes, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There are several examples on that one. Yes, yes, yes. And especially on the medicinal plants.
Okay, that was Trichopus gelanicus, that we know. But that is done before the Biodiversity Act came itself, he has done it. 1998, whereas the Act came in 2002. So 2002 Act came, 1998 itself postponed. Initiated that thing.
And that was exemplary throughout the country.
That is true.
Yeah.
Another example is there that this is not knowing about Orange Miscaminata from Africa. That XA21 gene was found from that plant. Yes. And that was used by the University of California, Davis. And probably some MAV scientific use tribal people, those from where this species was collected. And that entire group of tribal farmers, they have got some benefit from that organization. Either one of the family members or a child of children, some children are given some fellowship type thing, and they are studying in university there. Some understanding is there. So some benefit sharing is always there. But how do people take up what is that has to be
When you are getting that data should come to the public, sir. That data should come to the public. Which area and where tribals are getting benefit. So I am sorry because we haven't encroached the next session in discussion, but maybe I will not attend next session. I have a meeting at 5. So as per ABS is concerned, I have open challenge to anyone. If he or she can have it back ABS as per BD Act and NOAA protocol. I struggled for 7 years working with private companies, trying to bring them back. They asked me one question. Why should I share the full profit with you? Why should I show? Why should you get into agreement? Why should you get a legal this thing? And when I say to farmer group, they say, no, we don't want to enter any agreement. We want farm gate lifting, negotiable price, buyback system. This was the practical experience of my in Jeypore project for 7 years. I could not, failed. In National Project Steering Committee, I admit that I failed and somebody can help me, please do that. Because this company says, both got benefit. Company says, I'm earning crore of rupees. I have a 1 lakh farmer in my domain. How can I isolate you 10, 100 farmer in that? That's a practical difficulty. And farmers generally don't want to enter into that unnecessary this thing. So those are few things which are really practically when you start working in the field. ABS, theoretically ABS is fine. Thank you.
Okay, I think we should close. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, and for all your patient listening, and I really appreciate the contributions from all the panel members, including the farmers.
Konde sir, one award will be given to one of the farmer. I'm just announcing his name, Sri Uddhav Kakalpadia. Yeah. Sri Uddhav Kakalpadia is a successful vegetable farmer from Baunsiaguda village, assisted and supported by Swaminathan Research Foundation. Sri Uddhav has set an example in his village by growing cereal, pulses, vegetables, and oil crops in integrated farming methods. He has doubled his income by using his own technology, and at the same time, he has increased the income of the farmers of his area by giving this knowledge to the farmers of his area. His immense contribution is ever praiseworthy. Thank you. I request the chair of the session to also offer the memento to all the panelists of this session as a token of appreciation. Panelists, please be here so that I request chair to present question.
Both English and
next, Dr. Baraprasad. Yeah, then to Dr. Kuldeep Singh.
he was there in the main panel, so he doesn't get other one. Again.
I request Dr. Kuldeep Singh to present the token of appreciation to Dr. Konda Reddy Chava. I request chair to present a token of appreciation to Laichan. तो नहीं चुता रहे ये yeah okay you will there she's already taken yeah so there will be the session is closed now there will be a tea break for 15 minutes I request all participants to come back this hall assembly here within 15 minutes by 4:45 at least. Thank you.